salary. They seem like they're from totally different worlds, don't they? But get this, they're all just different names for the exact same thing: price. Yeah, really. Whether you're paying for a roof over your head, an education, a bus ride, or you're getting paid for your time, at the end of the day, it all boils down to a price.
So what is a price, technically? Well, the formal definition says it's the sum of the values we exchange for the benefit of having something. But the most important word in that entire definition is value. A price isn't just about money changing hands. It's a signal. It's a reflection of this really complex trade of perceived worth between a buyer and a seller.
And for any business, getting that price right is absolutely everything. I mean, think about it. You've got your product, your ads, how you get it to people, all of that costs money. Price is different. It is the only part of the marketing plan that actually brings revenue in. It's also super flexible. You can change a price in a matter of minutes. But that's what makes it so tricky. It's why pricing is often the #1 headache for marketing execs. Get it right, you win. Get it wrong, well, you fail. Simple as that.
So, this brings us right to the heart of the matter. Setting a price isn't just punching numbers into a calculator. It's this incredibly delicate balancing act. And for any company, the stakes couldn't be higher.
Here's the fundamental tension. On one side, you've got the company. Their needs are pretty straightforward. The price absolutely has to cover the cost of making and selling the thing, and it has to turn a profit so they can, stay in business. But on the other side, you've got the customer. That's you. And for you, the price has to reflect the product's value, and just as important, it needs to feel fair. A price that works for the company but feels like a ripoff to the customer? That's a total recipe for disaster.
So how on earth do companies figure this out? The best way to think about it is with a simple picture. Imagine every single price is trapped inside a box. It's held in place by 3 powerful forces: a floor underneath it, a ceiling above it, and walls on both sides. Let's start at the bottom, with the floor. The absolute rock bottom minimum a company can charge is set by its costs. It's pretty simple, right? If you price your product for less than it costs you to make it, you are literally losing money on every single sale. That is a very quick way to go out of business. So that cost level creates a hard floor for your price.
And this floor is basically built with 2 kinds of costs. First, you have fixed costs. Think of things like the rent for the factory or salaries. These stay the same no matter if you make 1 widget or 1,000,000. Then you have variable costs, things like raw materials or the power to run the machines. These go up with every single item you produce. Add them together, and that's your floor.
So, if costs set the price floor, what sets the ceiling? What stops a company from charging, say, $1,000 for a bottle of water? The customer. Or more specifically, what the customer believes the product is worth. There's an absolute limit to what anyone is willing to pay. That perception of value is what forms the price ceiling.
Now, what's really fascinating about this ceiling is how it moves depending on the product. We call this price elasticity. For things we need, like bread or medicine, demand is pretty inelastic. That means even if the price goes up a bit, we still buy it. But for luxury stuff or things with tons of alternatives, demand is very elastic. A tiny price hike can make demand just completely fall off a cliff. The ceiling is much, much lower. So we have our floor of costs below and our ceiling of customer value above. What about those walls hemming us in from the side? That's your competition. The prices your rivals are charging for similar stuff create these powerful constraints. They act like a really important reference point for customers. A key source for this explainer puts it perfectly. Competition provides the reference point for pricing. Just think about it for a second. Unless you're the only game in town, you can't just set your price in a vacuum. You have to know what the other guys are charging, because you can bet your customers do. Okay, so a company is stuck inside this box, right? Pinned down by the floor, the ceiling, and the walls. So how do they actually land on a specific number? This is where that framework turns into actual, concrete strategies.
You can really boil it down to 3 main approaches, and each one focuses on a different part of our box. You can use cost-based pricing, where you're basically looking down at the floor. You can use buyer-based pricing, where you're looking up at the ceiling. Or you can use competition-based pricing,
where you're looking sideways at the walls. Now, the most simple and direct method is cost-plus pricing. It's a floor-up approach. You just figure out all your costs for one unit, add a standard markup you want for profit, and boom, that's your price. It makes a lot of sense, but its biggest weakness is that it completely ignores the ceiling and the walls. It doesn't care what you think it's worth or what the competition is doing. A much savvier approach is what's called perceived value pricing. This is a ceiling down strategy. Instead of starting with what it costs, you start with the customer. Think about buying a soda. It might be 50 cents at a grocery store, but $2 at a cafe, and maybe even $5 at a fancy hotel. The soda is exactly the same, but the price is based on the perceived value of the whole experience. So let's bring this all home. Every single price tag you see isn't just a random number. It's actually the final chapter in a really complex story. A story about costs, about value, and about competition. Take a look at this classic price, $199.99. This is a perfect example of something called psychological pricing. The company knows that our brains are funny. Even though it's just 1 cent less than $200, we see that 1 at the front, and our brain registers it as significantly cheaper. It's a clever little trick to make us feel better about the price. So from now on, behind any price, you can see the whole framework. The floor is all the costs to make and market it. The ceiling is your own perception of its value and how much you need it. The walls are what everyone else is charging for something similar. And the final number you see? That's the result of the company's strategy, the specific story it wants to tell you. And that's our explainer. We've journeyed from a simple number to this whole complex world of business needs, customer psychology, and competitive gamesmanship. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought. The next time you look at a price tag, don't just see a cost. Stop and ask yourself, what story is this price really telling me?